Today we're diving deep into the recent moves of the Four Emperors and speculating on a potential alliance between Buggy's Cross Guild and Four Emperors. It's been a wild ride, with the Four Emperors all gunning for One Piece. And here's the juicy bit. Buggy's Cross Guild might just be teaming up with one of them. What's the story behind this potential alliance? We're about to break it all down. If you find the insights interesting, smash that like button and hit subscribe. And hey, if you've got a different take on things, drop a comment below. I want to hear from you. Just a heads up, this video does contain spoilers up to chapter 1067, so tread carefully. Let's dive right in. Alright folks, before diving deep into the various alliance combinations, let's lay down some ground rules. First off, what even is an alliance? It's when parties collaborate because they share a common goal. So there's basically three major criteria for an alliance. 1. Both parties benefit from it. 2. They aren't enemies. And 3. They have a common enemy. No brainer, right? If there's no mutual benefit, there's no alliance, and being enemies, well, that's a deal breaker. And about that third point, having a shared enemy, just think about Luffy teaming up with Law. It's clear how vital that is. They formed an alliance to take down a formidable foe, so that's a key component for sure. Next up, we'll be diving into each of the Four Emperors to discuss potential alliances and what those relationships might look like. Alright, let's dive into the alliance between Buggy's Cross Guild and Straw Hat Crew. For some reason, Buggy just has this charisma that draws people in. Then you have top-tier guys like Crocodile and Mihawk who have deep connections with the Straw Hats. Imagine how cool their alliance would be. Buggy is already familiar with Luffy, one of the Four Emperors, and they aren't enemies, so there's definitely a chance for an alliance. Plus, Buggy's strategy isn't about head-on clashes, he's more about outsmarting his opponents. That makes forming an alliance beneficial for him. Remember during the Marineford War? Even though Shanks tricked him, deep down Buggy believed that being with him would ensure a safe escape. Shows he's a guy who can play his cards, right? So, from Buggy's perspective, the odds of teaming up are pretty high. I can totally picture Buggy passionately proposing an alliance to Luffy. Now, let's look at it from Luffy's side. Luffy has formed alliances several times since entering the New World, treating them more like friendships. But given the current situation, since Buggy is also after the One Piece, he might be seen more as a rival. I mean, no matter how friendly Luffy is, he's not just going to give away the One Piece. So some might argue the likelihood of Luffy forming an alliance is low. But why do we think there's a chance with Buggy? In One Piece, there's also parallels drawn, like between Dressrosa and Alabasta, or Enies Lobby and Egghead. Currently, the members in Cross Guild are the ones who broke out of Impel Down with Luffy. We're talking about Crocodile, Mr. 3, also known as Galdino, Mr. 1, also known as Daz, and of course, Buggy. It's like a reunion of the escapees from that breakout. And in the Wano arc, we've got Jinbe joining Straw Hats. So, if the Cross Guild and Straw Hats were to form an alliance, it would be a callback to that epic prison break. It would be a great homage. The Straw Hats from the East Blue might be hostile towards characters like Crocodile and Buggy, but remember, they did help rescue Ace during the Marineford War, so I can imagine Luffy easily agreeing to the alliance. The rest of the crew? Probably going with the flow and accepting the alliance, just like they did with Law. And let's not forget, Zoro's mentor, Mihawk, is part of the Cross Guild. Considering their relationship, a temporary alliance seems plausible. Both Luffy and Buggy want the One Piece, so wouldn't that be a hindrance to their alliance? But thinking about Captain John's treasure mark in Impel Down, I feel like it might end with Luffy offering the One Piece to Buggy. Because for Luffy, there's a bigger dream beyond that. Depending on what the One Piece actually is, it would be pretty interesting if Buggy becomes the Pirate King with Luffy's help, right? So, with the current situation, like Cross Guild and Straw Hat Alliance seems likely. So, they aren't enemies, they share common goals, and it benefits Buggy. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Up next, let's talk about the alliance between Cross Guild and the red-haired pirates led by Shanks. I honestly think there's a high chance of this alliance happening. I mean, Shanks did try to recruit Buggy into his crew, so he's probably open to forming alliances. But Buggy, as one of the Four Emperors, after standing shoulder to shoulder with Shanks, now dreams of becoming the Pirate King himself. So wouldn't you say Buggy sees himself more as a rival to Shanks than the other two emperors? That's a possibility for sure. Imagine Buggy and Shanks recognizing each other as rivals and battling it out for the One Piece. That would be an absolute epic. I was torn about the likelihood of their alliance, but things might change if Blackbeard gets involved. Although Buggy has stated his intention to find the One Piece, he'd need the road poneglyphs to reach Raftel. Yet, we haven't seen Buggy collecting any of these poneglyphs. Crocodile and his gang, for instance, weren't really after the One Piece, so Buggy currently needs to snatch the poneglyphs from the Emperors. Luffy and Blackbeard are believed to have the most poneglyphs among the 4 Emperors. Luffy has Big Mom's, the one from Wano, and the one from Zhao, right? And since Blackbeard took them from Law, he's probably got the same ones. So if he's going to steal a road poneglyph, it makes the most sense to take it from either Blackbeard or Luffy. And we know Shanks is keeping tabs on Blackbeard's moves. Let's say Buggy plans to snatch the road poneglyph from Blackbeard, figures out his location and starts pursuing him. Then we might just end up with a 3-way showdown between Shanks, Buggy, and Blackbeard. In that scenario, wouldn't it make sense for Cross Guild and the red-haired pirates to temporarily team up against Blackbeard? Their interests would align, and taking down a powerful rival would definitely bring them closer to the One Piece. Moreover, Shanks possesses the same Kamasari technique as Roger, but Buggy might not know about it. They haven't met since parting ways in Logtown, except during the Summit War. Buggy used to believe that Shanks would be the one to inherit Roger's legacy and become the Pirate King. So if Buggy witnesses Shanks using Kamasari, he might think, it has to be you who becomes the Pirate King, right? This connects beautifully with Buggy becoming one of the 4 Emperors and Shanks mastering the Kamasari. Such an emotional scene, don't you think? Plus, if Shanks and Buggy team up to fight Blackbeard, it'd be reminiscent of the battle between the Rogers Pirates and the Whitebeard Pirates. With all the callbacks to the past, I believe an alliance between Buggy and Shanks, both former apprentices to the Pirate King, would be super interesting. Man, I'd love to see Shanks and Buggy fight side by side again. And don't forget, Cross Guild has Mihawk, Shanks' rival. We might witness an unparalleled battle. Next up, let's explore the potential alliance between Cross Guild and the Blackbeard Pirates. Among the current 4 Emperors, these 2 captains embody the pirate spirit the most. Buggy used his warlord status to profit with Buggy's delivery, and his obsession with treasure? Classic pirate vibes. And there's one core reason to believe that these 2 pirate crews might form an alliance. It's the contrasting dynamics between Buggy and Shanks and Luffy and Blackbeard. They are contrasting, but can it be the reason, you think? Well, Buggy and Shanks constantly clash since their apprentice days. Red hair versus blue hair, polar opposites. Also, Shanks has no interest in treasure, while Buggy thinks treasure is everything. Their perspectives on piracy are complete opposites. Shanks has a reputation that shields many smaller pirate crews, while Buggy relies on powerful subordinates to shield him. It's fascinating how even their positions as captains contrast. I never realized their contrast in their positions until now. On the other hand, Luffy and Blackbeard also have their set of constraints, from their cherry pie debate to their crew sizes and their roles as sun and darkness. So categorizing the current 4 Emperors, we have Blackbeard and Buggy with their pirate philosophies, and Luffy and Shanks who defy traditional pirate norms. Given these dynamics, it's plausible that Blackbeard and Buggy from the same category might team up. But what mutual interests would drive them to form an alliance? The most probable answer is toppling Shanks. Shanks is the target? Unexpected! Earlier, we discussed Buggy targeting Blackbeard for the road poneglyphs. But if Buggy prioritizes defeating his biggest rival, Shanks, the entire narrative shifts. Buggy's unpredictability means we can't rule out the possibility of him targeting Shanks. Crocodile and Mihawk would undoubtedly oppose this. But the more they oppose, the more Buggy might just go for it. We know Shanks is after Blackbeard, and for Blackbeard, Shanks is probably the most formidable of the 4 Emperors. Shanks possesses one of the strongest Haki abilities, rendering Devil Fruit powers ineffective against him. Blackbeard's Dark Fruit is effective against other Devil Fruit users, but struggles against non-users. Considering the Blackbeard Pirates' reliance on abilities to defeat other users, the red-haired pirates, full of non-users, present a real challenge. So, Blackbeard might realize he can't defeat Shanks alone, and might look to leverage the powerhouses in Cross Guild, like Mihawk. I believe he'd offer Buggy a copy of the Road Poneglyph in exchange for an alliance against Shanks. Considering all this, Blackbeard does seem to have all the bargaining chips to persuade Buggy. And for Buggy, defeating Shanks would be a significant milestone. So, it's a win-win. There was a time when people online debated if there was any pirate who could defeat Shanks. But if Blackbeard and Buggy ally and Mihawk faces off against Shanks, the possibility of Shanks' defeat becomes real. Keep an eye on Shanks, Buggy, and Blackbeard. It's gonna get wild. Alright everyone, up until now we've been diving deep into the potential alliances between the Cross Guild, the Blackbeard Pirates, the Straw Hat Crew, and the Red-Haired Pirates. But hold up, let's also explore other potential alliances that might be lurking in the shadows. I mean, there are other pirate crews out there, right? Now, the main focus here is the Blackbeard Pirates. And let me be straight with you. The only likely alliance Blackbeard might consider is with Buggy's Cross Guild. For Luffy, Blackbeard is a nemesis that's responsible for Ace's death. He can be a hateful opponent only. Adding to the fire, Blackbeard has crossed paths with Hancock and Kobe, and even Garp seems to have fallen into Blackbeard's clutches. There's just no way these guys are forming an alliance. I mean, if they meet face to face, it's gonna be an instant showdown. And I find it hard to believe that Blackbeard would form an alliance with Shanks either. Remember the Summit War? They were at each other's throats. Given that Shanks is still tracking Blackbeard's moves, it's safe to say he sees him as an enemy. So if you've been following along, the only logical ally for Blackbeard is the Cross Guild. This leaves us with the potential alliance between the Straw Hat Crew and the Red-Haired Pirates. But this one, it's up in the air. For a long time there was a strong belief that Blackbeard would be the final boss of One Piece. But now, we've got this mysterious figure, Imu, stepping into the spotlight from the world government side, right? Imu might be a powerful entity, given that he wiped out the Rulushia Kingdom in a blink for the Mother Flame experiment. The guy's shrouded in darkness. Plus, we've learned that Luffy, with the spirit of Nika within him, stands opposed to Imu. And here's the kicker. There's this issue of Fagara Land between Shanks and the world government. If a situation arises where Shanks has to confront the world government or even Imu, I believe there's a chance he might join forces with Luffy. Remember how Shanks reacted when Luffy awakened Nika? It was as if he was waiting for that moment. And in Film Red, they're already fighting side by side. Not to mention, both the Red-Haired Pirates and the Straw Hat Crew have crew members with similar roles, like Usopp and Yasopp, and Zoro and Beckman. So when the final showdown with the government unfolds, I wouldn't be surprised if these two join forces. Who else is pumped to see Luffy and Shanks team up again? However, with Bartolomeo causing chaos in Shanks' territory, it's hard to predict the chances of this alliance. Shanks didn't meet Luffy and Wano simply because some matters were left unresolved. Alright, we've speculated a lot here, but the future of One Piece remains unpredictable. Personally, I'd love to see an epic battle where the four emperors join forces. Well, that's it for today. This channel posts summaries, explanations, and ranking videos related to One Piece. If you like One Piece, we'd be happy if you could support us by subscribing to our channel and commenting. Thank you for watching to the end, and we'll see you in the next video.